Chapter 31. Silence. We let it wash over us. My heart cowers in my chest as we follow the peloro back to the train. As we look for an open boxcar and find them all locked, we climb on top and stare into the night while La Bestia sits idle on the tracks. As we hear the conversations of those around us, there are less of us now. Those weren't cops. We're just looking for money, someone says. Kidnappers, someone says. Someone else says. Podreros, says someone, referring to the people who were taken. Who knows where they are now? Those men and women and children who just wanted better, who are just like us, whose lives will depend on whether their families can come up with money for their release. We barely escaped, Chico whispers to me. They were so close to us. The train wakes up and the vibration of it rumbles beneath us. We hold on. We wait to once again continue on. Then the train jerks forward, pulls away once more. Pulga, Chico whispers. I'm scared. I just want to rest. I hear him. I do. But I can't shake the feeling of what almost happened. How close we were almost to being taken. Maybe, probably, killed. Like we cheated something, and I know it will catch up with us. I now we are pressing our luck if we don't keep going. But when Chico looks at me, his eyes are empty. His soul has been scooped out, and he looks so tired. Okay, I whisper. Next shelter, all right? I promise. Chico leans next to me. Okay, he says. He smiles, white saliva crusted in the corners of his mouth. His eyes. He closes his eyes. I can feel the first rays of morning sun shining over us. It's the colors that awake me, the glowing colors of it behind closed lids. And those colors are memories of Puerto Barrios and Mama, of familiar places and a longing that I know is longing because it comes from my heart. But it feels my hunger, like a deep, unending hunger. I grasp on the grates on top of the train, holding on tighter as we sway back and forth. I'm awake but not. I'm aware but not, because the rocking motion feels like being on a hammock on our patio. And if I stay in these colors and in this motion, if I block out the noise, I can almost believe I am back home. I can almost see my mother through the woven mesh of the hammock, standing in the doorway, looking out at the street and then at me. The splotches of pink and yellow and red get brighter. They turn black and forest green, and then to neon orange. They turn white. I want to stay in this moment. I don't want to open my eyes to the reality of the train, to the dust and dirt and the tired faces of everyone on this journey. I don't want to see the hopelessness of the desperation, the hunger in their stomachs and hearts that shows through their eyes. Pulga, I hear Chico's voice call to me, so faintly through my sleep. Pulga, he says again. The train rocks and rocks. As I open my eyes, ever so slightly, the sun is so bright in the sky, I am blinded. If my body worked. If I didn't feel like I was made out of lead, I could sit up, but I feel like I can hardly move. The train screeches into the fiercing morning, like some giant centipede being hacked to pieces. I can feel Chico struggling to get up next to me. I use all the strength I have to sit up, squinting against the sun as I try to adjust to the blinding light. I can hear Pequeña mumbling something about how we need water. Easy, I tell Chico as he pops forward like his head weighs 1,000 pounds. His face is coated with dust, but he nods, more screeching and breaking, and I hope wherever we are, stopping a shelter is close by. Hang on, Chico, I say. He sits, eyes closed. I see his mouth open, and he says something, and he turns to look at me. His eyes bloodshot and tired, but the train lets out a horrendous screech, and I can't hear anything he said, and Chico's words are lost in the wind, as the weight of his entire body pulls him forward, and I watch as he topples over. I watch my hand, too slow, reaches to grab his shirt and catches nothing. I watch him disappear over the side of the train. What happens when your brain refuses to believe what it has just seen? What happens is that it tells you you are hallucinating, and when your ears recall that what Pequeña just said about the needing water, even with the scream stuck in your throat. Even as you try to yell and your screams are cut off by those of La Bestia, who won't be outdone. So the screams form in you like 1,000 bubbles, multiplying, squeezing on top of the other, filling your chest and your throat, where they stay, and you choke and you realize you're choking on screams, and you can't breathe, and you can't hear because even the screaming sounds far away, and your head doesn't work because it refuses to realize what's happened, even though there's this part of you, the deepest part, that knows exactly what happened. And you see Pequeña lying on the top of the train, her arms outstretched over the edge, screaming, and you're sure she is screaming, even though you can't hear anything. And you know, as the train slows and screeches and cries, the whines of and howls and roars and screams, a scream so piercing you feel your whole self shatter. And that's when you jump off. You jump off before it comes to stop, and you're on the ground, the world a blur as you roll and scratch the dirt and try to get up. And you run, you fucking run. You run even though you can't breathe. You run as your mind flashes with horrific images. You run even though it's miles right, miles or days. Was it days ago? Or did you pass him already? You stop because maybe you fucking passed him already. And you fall to your knees and you feel around as the snot and tears drip from your fucking nose. And because, my gosh, a moment ago your ears and your head didn't work, so maybe your eyes don't work, and maybe you already passed him. And you're screaming, screaming, screaming his name under the white-topped sky. You start running again, even though your body barely works, and you have to keep telling it to go. You keep going, and you do. You keep running, you keep running, you keep running, until suddenly there's a car up next to you, and you wonder how did this car get here? And there's someone yelling to you to get in, and you see Pequeño already in there too. And you get in there, and the car races ahead to wherever it is you were running, and you keep your eyes on the window full of smashed bugs trying to see, and then you do. You see the lump on the ground, and you think it can't be him. It won't be him, but it is. His shirt. It's the one he switched into the last place we stayed. The blue on it, on that his was his favorite. I get out of the car and run to him. His crumpled fucking body is like mangled, like it's been eaten by a pack of wolves. Flesh and veins exposed, and so much blood, an impossible amount of blood, like Don Feli. You're okay, you'll be fine, Chico, I promise. But I can hardly get those words out because I'm crying so fucking much. And he's looking at me and he smiles. He's looking, smiling. He smiles even though his eyes are closing and he's turning gray and clammy right into my hands, right in my arms. Oh gosh, no. As I tell him to please hold on. The train whistle blows and drowns out my words, but I hold him closer to me, and I whisper right in his ears, and I tell him, don't worry, okay, don't worry. He stares at the sky above us, and his eyes roll back in their sockets. No, 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 look at me. I yell at him. Chico, Chico. Pulga, don't worry, he says. I'm okay, don't cry, okay? Except he isn't. I'm watching the life drain out of him, just like I watched it drain out of Don Felicio. And I don't know how to make it stop. I don't know how to make any of this stop. All this life, always draining, and nobody cares. I'm okay. We made it. I see it. He looks past me, back at the sky. No, stay with me, Chico. Please, please. But he doesn't. Right there, on the ground, in my arms, he stops breathing. His eyes go vacant, their gaze set on something far away. His body goes limp, and right there, Chico dies. My brother, my best friend, and I hold him to my chest, and I tell him that I love him, and I tell him that I was supposed to protect him, and I tell him he's the best person I've ever known, and please, please don't go and leave me here all alone. And I tell him, please come back, don't fucking leave. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, Chico.